on the veto. You need to make sure. This is about receiving the mayor's veto and moving it to a date specific, determined by the chairman, where and when it will be action taken on the veto. The rules also indicate from the receipt, which is acknowledged today, I have 5 days of a waiting period before I put it on the agenda, and no more than 30. So please focus today's testimony on the process of what is on the agenda. There is no debate or discussion from the members. My plan is calling the meeting to order. We will take a roll call. We get an approval of the agenda, and I will then take public comment. But I want to make sure you understand what is on the table today is the mayor's veto to set a date and time specific to discuss that veto. There will be no voting by council members today. Okay? Mr. Hoosier?
Just a process, because of the noise out here, I'm having even a hard time hearing, so I think everybody should speak as loudly. I don't know if we can turn the volume up on the microphones or not, but I believe that might be an issue with the noise. And yeah, thank you.
I think that's a good point. And let me also apologize. We have our air conditioning people working on the chill water for today. So as long as we maintain our temperaments, we can probably maintain the room temperature. So on that note, Mr. Kogawa, you wanted the floor? No? Okay, again, I want to make sure you understand that there will be no discussion from the mayors. The business today is the veto that was laid on the table. So to the clerk, may I ask, let's go ahead and start today's meeting with a roll call.
This is to call the meeting to order. Councilmember Bynum?
Here.
Councilmember Hooser?
Present.
Councilmember Kagawa?
Present.
Councilmember Raposo?
Here.
Councilmember Yukimura? Here. Council Chair Fufaro?
President.
6 present.
Thank you. We have 6 present of a 6-member body at this time. I would like to get an approval of the agenda, please. Thank you, Mr. Kagawa, Mr. Raposo. Any discussion, members? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, on that note, I would like to remind you of the communication today. I guess we should read that communication, please.
The 6 people, the public comment?
Yeah, but first, I think we just want to read the communication, reiterating what's really on the agenda today.
So the communication on the agenda today is C 2013-363, a communication from the mayor submitting his veto of Bill number 2491, Draft 2, relating to pesticides and genetically modified organisms.
Thank you. So it's the veto that's on the agenda. And I would like to now go to public comment. Do we have a number of people that have signed up?
Yes, we have 6 people signed up for the public comment period pursuant to our agenda item number D.
Before you go any further, I believe someone who signed up wants to show a video. Okay. I would like to let you know again, I will permit that today. But in the future, in our procedures, the video presentations need to tie to the agenda item. The agenda item is the veto override, not about crops and so forth as you see it, okay? But I'm going to allow it to the clerk's office, okay? But please, everybody understand, I'm making exceptions as the chair, but we do have rules, very old rules, that we need to follow process on. Okay, call up the first speaker.
The first speaker is Ray Catania, followed by Jason Ladera.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ray.
Ray, you need the button.
Good morning. My name is Raymond Catania. I'm from Puhi.
I'm also a member of the Hawaii Government Employees Association, and there have been a number of us that support Bill 2491, and we have an open letter that I want to read to you. On the bottom of the letter, you have copies. There is a list of names of some of the members. You might even know them. And I'll start it off. We support Bill 2491 and are members of the Hawaii Government Employee Association. The following is not the union's position, but the opinion of some members from Kauai who also see the importance of advocating for an environmentally healthy and safe workplace and community. Mayor Carvalho's October 31st, 2013 veto of Bill 2491 put his personal concerns about possible litigation over the health and welfare of the people. His disclosure of the county's legal assessment was negligent and improper and puts the industrial ag interests at an advantage. Responding to the concerns of Kauai's people, the Kauai County Council voted wisely 6-1 to pass the amended version of the bill earlier in the month. The bill calls for mandated pesticide disclosure, an environmental impact study, and very moderate buffer zones in the most sensitive areas like schools and hospitals. There is no logic or rationale to the industry's threat that the measures outlined in the bill will lead to massive layoff of workers. We support the workers of these companies and their right to work in a safe environment. As voting public worker unionists, family people, and active members of this community, we see no contradiction in having decent jobs and a healthy community to live in. We encourage our county council members, the majority who spend untold hours studying the issues and ramifications of the bill from many perspectives, including that of the industry, to override the mayor's veto. We are in solidarity with the many doctors, nurses, teachers, kupuna and youth, Kanaka Maoli, cultural practitioners, farmers, environmentalists, fishermen, mothers, surfers, hunters, and labor unions that came together to work on and support this bill. Thank you.
Mahalo, Ray.
Yeah.
Our next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Jason Ladera, followed by Malia Chun.
Hi.
Morning.
Good morning. Thank you. My name is Jason Ladera. I was born and raised on the island of Kauai. My father grew up in Kilea. My mother grew up in Koloa, next to the sugar mill. I went to the service, serve our country. But you know what brought me back to the island? The people, the love, the land. For me, this is a special place. 50 years ago, 100 years ago when the plantation was around, a lot of the people never know the dangers about this large agrochemical pesticide use. But now we know. You know, yesterday was yesterday, today is today. I'm asking you guys to override this mayor's veto because you guys love the land, the island. Ask yourself, why did you guys take office? Why? To represent the people, Kauai, the future of Kauai. I read it every year, election season, on these little postcards that come to my mailbox. You guys said it. Follow through, override this mayor's bill. You guys don't represent an outside entity. You guys represent the people, the future of Kauai. I'm an avid outdoorsman. The mountains, streams, oceans, all provide for me and my family. My sons, my daughters, they hunt, they fish. I want that for the future of them. You know, I want them to experience the lifestyle I experience. This touches deep with me. I have families on the west side. You know, one of my cousins right here in the back room from the west side. Nieces, nephews. But you guys six right here hold the key for the future of Kauai. So do the right thing. Override this mayor's veto and do right as pono for Kauai. Thank you.
Thank you. And may I just say thank you for your service to our country. I want to share with one of the speakers here that I had been advised that although I have made the exception on the video, it is legally not wise to have the video shown on an item that's about the agenda for the veto. And I do not want these procedures overridden because of what could be a complaint. So whoever is planning to present the video, may I say on the date that I choose, somebody needs to get a housekeeping item cleaned up here. Okay. That when I choose to identify the date, I will be accepting that video at that time. So I just want to be, I want to follow protocol here, so I hope you understand. Okay, our next speaker was?
Next speaker is Malia Chun, followed by Ray Songtree.
Aloha mai kākou.
Aloha.
I am Malia Chun from Kikaha. First, I would like to express my gratitude to each and every one of you. All of you council members who have supported 2491 and have seen it through to this day. Your tenacity, time, and dedication to serving the people of Kauai and protecting our health and well-being will be your legacy. On behalf of the many Westside Ohana that could not be here, I would like to encourage you to continue to be brave and listen to the plea of the majority of the tax-paying, voting citizens of this island who feel it is a basic human right to know and protect ourselves and our ohana from restricted use pesticides. Allowing the mayor to veto this bill and defer the kuleana of protection and accountability to the state is like sending an abused child back to their abuser. Although I am part Hawaiian, the rest of my ancestry, Chinese, Portuguese, and Filipino, were plantation workers as well, like many of you sitting here. And while many of the local values that we grew up with stem from plantation life, that area had a devastating impact, as Brother said, on our natural environment, one that we have not recovered from today. This pales in comparison to the 18 tons of restricted use pesticides that biotech companies expose us to on a yearly basis on our tiny island of Kauai. Make no mistake, this is not the agriculture of our ancestors. My plea to each of you is to not make a decision based on fear or threats, or one that is motivated by money. Have faith that when you do what is pono, pono will prevail, and you will have the support of the greater community, lawyers, doctors, educators, fishermen, mothers, fathers, keiki, and yes, mahi'ai, farmers that plant food for human consumption. Mayor Carvalho has 1 year left to his term, but if allowed to veto, the repercussions will be felt, heard, and witnessed long after his term is up. The effects will be multi-generational. Your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. We are kamavailua lani moku, moku o mano kalanipo. And we have always taken a deep pride in protecting our island and its people.
You know your 3 minutes have
Okay,
ended.
kalamai, almost Paul, and our natural resources. So please help us to continue to fulfill this legacy that is Kauai's alone. Mahalo nui.
Thank you, and thank you for reminding us of the ancient name of Kauai. So, thank you. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Ray Songtree, followed by Josh Maury.
Hey, Ray Songtree, good morning. Thank you again for your service. You last till 3:30 in the morning. I went home at midnight, so I really appreciate your work. Really impressed. The New York Times business section had a headline, Mayor vetoes the bill. And the New York Times business section would do that because industry does not want to be regulated. And these billion-dollar companies have given our mayor $4,000. And I'm requesting the council to ask the mayor to return this money and to stay neutral on this issue. I'm also concerned with something I read in the paper about the mayor possibly being threatened and our police chief contacting the FBI about this. These are billion-dollar companies. The policy in coercion is called, do you want silver or lead? And he could have been threatened, and maybe some of you have been in subtle ways. I stand behind and I follow the previous speaker in that Kauai has a spiritual aura, spiritual history that's been rejuvenated by new people. And you don't have to be afraid, and the mayor does not have to be afraid. I do ask you to please write to him to return that money and to be more neutral. That's my message. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Josh Morey, followed by Ruby Stagers.
My name is Joshua Dini Okui Kakaloa Mori, and first off I want to say thank you. Thank you for all of you guys for being here. Thank you for the work you've already put in, and we find ourselves here again. And we know what to do. So congratulations, we've done this before. You guys have voted on this before. Might cut you know. Let's continue to do this, okay? I bring from Keikaha, where I live, a message of strength and of unity. We're not divided. Our work is not over yet. Today we're brought back by the actions of two individuals who chose to act in their own interests. That's okay. Like I said, we've been here before. We know how to do the right thing. I feel like much of this is being based on fear. And it's fear not from the local people, but it's being driven by fear from the industry. And they have much to fear. Much to fear. Because we, as a local people, the Maka'ainana, we know that we have rights. Local people have rights. Their lawyers know that we have rights. We know that we have things such as NAGPRA working in our defense. Native American Grave Protection Repatriation Act is passed by the Supreme Court of the United States in 1993. Right? That upholds our right to not have our sacred lands defecated upon, desecrated. Yeah, we have these rights. We also know that just in 2008, the United States was the last colonial power, but they did sign on the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. We have these rights. Almost every single article is being trumped right now by what's going on. What we have in front of us is the opportunity to not have to go that route, to not have to take this thing and use these international laws, to not have to use these Supreme Court laws. What we have is an opportunity to work together as a community, to show the world, to send a message to the world. That here on Kauai, e komo mai. But e komo mai, how our ruling chief said it. You're always welcome, everybody welcome here. But not if you're coming to make war. You come to make war, you don't have a place on Kauai. So my message to the biotech industry, how disrespectful can you be to our people? We've been here for 1,000 years. You've been here for 15 years. You like sue us. You like threaten us. They like threaten, suing us for their lack of cooperation. Our very, very fundamental right as humans to know what's going into our air, into our land that is already protected by our laws as indigenous and living human beings. So my message is keep up the good work. Don't be scared. We get your back. We are very supportive of what's going on in this process. And we thank you. Thank you for going through the process. Because when we can walk out this door, you guys get a lot of work to do. And we support you. So mahalo nui. I'm going to say, let's override the mayor's veto to 2491. Mahalo.
To the clerk's office, I want to let you know that I have asked the county attorneys to preview the video that was suggested and tell me if his testimony was not much different than what we're hearing today. And I want to make sure that I had him look at it because I'm going to allow it. Okay. So who was the individual that had the video as part of their presentation today?
Ruby Stagers.
You have to come to the mic.
Hi, I'm Ruby Staggers. I was supposed to present the video, but I don't have it available today.
Okay. Thank you very much, then. Okay, now on this note, I'm going to let the audience know at my discretion, I'm going to continue with public testimony. And I am going to, to expedite time here, I'm going to let those that signed up speak for 3 minutes, and we'll continue the list. I also want to make sure we understand that it is not interactive with the council for discussion, and we have read the communication. So who would be the next speaker?
The next speaker was Ruby Staggers. Ruby Love.
Oh, Gavin, okay.
Mr. Chair, let me just formally make the motion to receive C 2013-363. It has already been read by the clerk, so I'll move to receive 2013-363.
Thank you. So thank you, Mr. Raposo. We have a second from Mr. Kagawa. On that note, since it's already been read, let's take public testimony.
Ruby Staggers.
Ruby, are you here this morning, here in the chamber? That's Ruby.
Okay.
She's going to pass. Okay.
Okay. The next speaker is Lauren Pang, followed by Journey Zephyr.
Good morning. Thank you for hearing us. I've come from Maui. I speak as a private citizen. I'm retired Army active duty, Walter Reed Institute of Research, 24 years. I've served for the World Health Organization since 1985. I want to specifically cover something that might seem a little bit irrelevant, but at the end you will see what's going on. I watch the scientific claims regularly, and there is something that has come out here. I will leave this with you. In the Scientific American, it's a very, very prestigious journal, pretty fair. And the Scientific American looked at Roundup with its components. And it was very hard to decide what was going on because Roundup alone, the active component, glyphosate, wasn't that toxic. But the carrier agents to make the cells soft and penetrable, that wasn't that dangerous alone. But when you combine the two, the glyphosate enters a cell and you get some wicked potentiation. So as we've been saying all along, you combine two things, stand back, because you're going to see stuff you never saw before. I understand you have 11 things now. Those are the pesticides. There are other things which are not considered pesticides which facilitate and potentiate. That's fine. So everyone weighs in on this. What does Monsanto say? They write a letter, they defend themselves. You should know, 7 years ago, Monsanto's head medical director, Daniel Goldstein, came to debate with me in front of the Maui Medical Society. And we asked for labeling, because if you label the product, I can do a post-marketing study into the community to figure out what was causing what. He said post-marketing studies are not good and useless. There's so much confusion. If the guy gets sick, you don't know if it's his deodorant, you don't know if it's his pets. So we go with lab studies. So I thought, fair enough, but I think you're wrong. This thing I just told you, the combination potentiating the toxicity, was a lab study. What does Dr. Goldstein in publication say now about the lab study? Well, that's not real life. So he's saying a lab study is not good. A human life study in real life is not good. But what's the facts? The facts are, we know that, Dr. Goldstein. That's why we ask for both. We asked for a lab study, animal study, well control study, post-marketing study. Where are we now? You see this lab study come out, not good enough for him. Let's look at real life. Where do you think real life is? It's West Kauai. That's why in this bill you put, for me, fine, we start with this disclosure. I said that before. But the kick of the whole thing, the meat of it, is your health study. That's real life. That's what's going on. You tell Goldstein, he puts out the lab study, you match it with the real life. If you don't believe what you will see, Google Argentina, Monsanto. They are showing real life birth defects, susceptible cancers. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. How you use your 3 minutes, but I think I can speak for everyone here at the table that we would like to move through this process so that we can make a decision about a calendar date on the veto. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
Next speaker.
The next speaker is Journey Zeifer, followed by Stephanie Krieger.
Hello, I am Journey Maniwaji Zephyr. I am 13 years old and I'm here to represent the 7th generation. The current and the future are on this council to protect. I was surprised the mayor only read the bill 2 or 3 weeks ago. He did not know what the pesticides were being sprayed, and he went on vacation for almost a week of the 10 days he should have been studying the bill.
Excuse me. People are wanting to hear you. Can you speak louder?
When he vetoed the bill, I felt like he betrayed my generation, like he stabbed me in the back. Because at the last hearing, I talked to him outside the hearing room here and asked the mayor, please, if this bill passes, please protect me and the keiki and sign the bill. The mayor looked me in the eye, patted me on the head, and said, don't worry, I support the bill. I felt very sad and hurt because the mayor looked me right in the face and lied to me. I have talked to many of you here on the council. None of you have ever lied to me. I felt like being honest is important in a leader, to make believe the bill would be signed and make my friends on the west side would be protected. You, the council, have taken a lot of time out of your life to educate yourselves on the issues, and then the mayor vetoes it without even researching or educating himself on the pesticides, their health impact, and how urgent it is to protect the people getting sprayed. I think that the mayor should apologize to the family on the west side who has 35 members of cancer. He should apologize to all the kids getting sprayed and breathing in dust every day, and all the people on the west side. He should also apologize to me for lying to my face. And I think he should also apologize to himself because he knows in his heart what he did was wrong when he vetoed this bill. He has a granddaughter. What if she lived downwind? I believe in you guys. I believe that you guys can do it. I hope that you will override the veto by the mayor. You can pass the bill and then fine-tune it in the next 9 months. My auntie knows a 6-year-old girl on the west side who was just diagnosed with cancer, joining a long list of kids who will have high rates of cancer around the seed pesticide fields. Please do this in front of me. Please do this, if not for me, for her. The keiki and the future generations deserve the basic protection Bill 2491 offers. You have months to fine-tune any legal issues, but since a former Hawaii Supreme Court judge has endorsed the bill and feels it would stand up in court, I think that plus the dozens of other lawyers who endorsed the bill and...
Summarize real quick.
I missed school today to be here. I slept on the pavement outside all night because I love Kauai and all the keiki. and people on the west side, and the seventh generation implodes you. Pass the bill, override the mayor's veto.
Thank you for your testimony. Next
Speaker
please.
is Stephanie Krieger, followed by Erica Schneider.
Aloha, my name is Stephanie Krieger, and I'm here today to ask that the council override the mayor's veto of Bill 2491. October 31st was a very emotional day for me. I'll never forget where I was, as many people in this community will probably never forget where they were when they found out that the mayor vetoed the bill. I was walking from my work through the Safeway shopping complex on my way to get my morning coffee. A mysterious black helicopter hovered across the sky, and I was so shaken up I could hardly place my order. My commitments to attend my son's school Halloween parade in preparation for the evening's neighborhood festivities kept me from running to the atrium for the mayor's speech. My son, Hunter Aina, just turned 6 last month. He's been extremely active and aware of this process, and throughout this process he has gotten to know several of you personally, understanding your individual viewpoints. The morning after the veto, Hunter and I were able to watch a video of the mayor's speech. Halfway through this emotional moment, he turned to me with tears in his eyes and told me he was crying. He said, "The mayor rides a Kauai bus." He further elaborated that he wanted to give his Kauai bus coloring book, one of his favorites, back to the mayor, filled with scribble scrabble. Imagine the passion and emotion of this young mind, feeling betrayed by someone he looked up to so dearly. At the beginning of this process, there were a few of you that I seriously questioned your support of the bill. I have to say that I am truly impressed with the leadership and dedication all of you have exhibited by serving and voting in favor of the overwhelming community voice. When Bill 2491 gets presented back to you, I urge you to keep your vote in favor of passing the bill. Do what is right and do what is Pono. Let's continue to make history. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, Stephanie. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Erica Snyder, followed by Thomas Patch.
Aloha, everyone.
Aloha, good morning.
I'm a little bit less passionate and less angry than I was in my last testimony because I think I've cried every tear that I have in my body out the last, week, basically. I spent so many hours crying I couldn't sleep for 3 nights after the mayor's veto, almost 5 nights. I slept a couple hours a couple nights. I was so upset by it. And I talked to the mayor here outside the hearing, too, just like my son said. And he also told me that he supported the bill and that he felt that the bill should be passed, and led me to believe that he was going to sign the bill. And I respect the mayor. As a person, I like him. I think he's a good person, but I think he was grossly negligent in this matter. You guys have spent months and months and months sitting here on the council, and every single one of you, even you, Mel, who voted no, you still put your time in. You researched. All of you researched. You learned about the pesticides, the health impacts, everything. You put your time in, and I respect that, Mel. I respect that you guys sat here this long and did that research. And he didn't. His lack of research, education, or even reading the basic pesticide list to know what is being sprayed and the health impacts of that leads me to believe he already had his mind made up. The state preemption that was just announced in the last day or two, that the state is suddenly very urgently working on a bill to require basic voluntary disclosure of restricted use pesticides only and voluntary buffer zones that was in the press release yesterday or the day before. I feel like he knew that was coming. That was why he asked for a month's deferral. I mentioned this before. I feel like it was an attempt to preempt our bill and the stricter regulations that it requires. These companies will not voluntarily do anything. I watched a documentary on New Zealand called Let Us Spray about people handling 2,4-D and 2,4,5-T, and the company spent decades covering up the cancer and birth defects and illness there, using the same excuses and propaganda that they've used here on Kauai. Not enough correlation of evidence. There's no proof that this is because of our pesticides. I watched a man who handled 2,4-D have 3 generations of birth defects in his family in this documentary, and they're testing 2,4-D here on Kauai. 2,4-D causes birth defects. Hundreds and hundreds of families there are suffering. Long history of dishonesty with these companies.
3 minutes.
This law is required to help, and it's very basic. And I ask you, please, override the mayor's veto. Please do the right thing. Mahalo.
Thank you for your testimony. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Thomas Patch, followed by Lori Patch.
Thomas Patch. Lori Patch. Can we, are you Thomas Patch?
Hello, good morning.
Very
Yeah.
good.
Thomas
Okay.
Patch, 23 years old, born and raised resident of Kauai. I'm here today in support to override this veto, and I respectfully ask that of the council committee to do so when it comes on the agenda. I feel that cowering and complying to these corporations' threats is an irrational and irresponsible exercise of politics on behalf of the mayor. Let the judge decide. I mean, it's not his kuleana to release a county attorney's opinion of what before anything has even gone to court. I see no logic in that. That's like me getting on a plane, flying to New Zealand, meeting David Tua at a bar, and sticking my chin to the sky and say, anything you got. It's like, I don't see any point in that at all whatsoever. All we ask for, we the people ask for transparency, and their stubborn reluctancy to do so has become disturbing. They immediately almost threatened to sue the county of Kauai. What does that indicate? It's blatantly showing there's a massive cover-up going on under their behalf. When the people of Kauai asked the mayor of Kauai his reason for the veto and what his outlook on a solution would be in the future, he had really no answer except for just simply that he's working for the state. That's not really a concern to us because we already know that Governor Abercrombie is bought off by lobbyists and in bed with these biotech companies. I'm not here to give you numbers and percentages of what is what, and that's not on the issue, right? So I'm just here in tribute of Thomas Paine's common sense. His quote from that is, "From the errors of other nations, let us learn wisdom." So 340 years later, this statement's still pretty pertinent. And I would say also, you can also substitute the errors of nations and look at the solutions of what other countries around the world in Europe and other places have done as well, as opposed on the contrast side, what he mentioned about Argentina going on. So you definitely can look at it from that and see a lot of progress to be made. And I just put faith in you guys and that you make the right decision, and we're all definitely counting on you, and I appreciate your time, and thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Lori Patch, followed by Mimsy Beret.
Aloha. My name is Lori Patch, and I am a resident of Kauai for 33 years. I vote. I have 3 children born at Wilcox Hospital, 2 grandchildren born at Wilcox Hospital. Realizing you've heard countless hours of knowledgeable, credible, and real-life history, the West Side people deserve justice. I'm begging you to please override what I call a despicable veto. I'm a cancer survivor. Going through cancer was basically like going through torture, and I survived it. I'm here today to tell you my story. I met a family at the March in Poipu, born and raised on the West Side. They had a beautiful picture of their sister, beautiful. I asked, who she was, and they told me that ever since the inception of the genetically modified organism fields, they've lost 35 members of their family to cancer. Please override the veto. You can regulate transient vacation rentals. Please regulate these lethal pesticides. Please override the veto. We can regulate smoking 25 feet from a public entrance. Please, you can regulate the buffer zones from these lethal pesticides. The county is even considering regulating a license law for your cat. Please regulate these lethal pesticides. Please override the veto. Please don't fear or cower to the threats of litigation and the bullying tactics of the multi-billion-dollar corporations. The greatest threat to these corporations is an informed public. We know you have the high-powered pro bono attorneys ready to represent you. We know that they'll win, because we're winners. We know that you can be assured that the bill will stand legally in court. Please override the veto. Show your love for the West Side people. Love casts out all fear. We know the West Side has been brutalized for a long time now, and finally the horror stories of the people who have been poisoned and suffering has now been brought to light. This is not only a political issue, it is an issue of life and death. Sorry. You have a moral obligation and a duty to give justice to the Kauai people and override this veto. Their lives have value. Please override the veto. I also brought an article from the San Francisco newspaper in regards to the EPA loopholes that allow pesticide testing on kids. Please override the veto. Thank you so much, you guys. Keep up the great work. Aloha.
Okay. Did you want to give us a copy of your San Francisco piece? Here, our staff is coming. That's the county attorney's office here. This is counsel. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello.
Aloha, good
morning. I think Stephanie mentioned, Mimsy Bure for the record. It was mentioned earlier, I think we'll all remember where we were at the time we heard of the mayor's veto of 2491. And I was in New York City with Bette Midler, who is another large landowner on the island. And she asked me to present this testimony on her behalf today. So I wrote my own, but I'm going to present hers. And she says, "The island of Kauai is one of the most beautiful, pristine environments in the whole world. I remember one year when, having traveled around the entire world with my family, I finally reached Kauai, and I broke down and I cried. It was so beautiful, and having seen what else was out there, I was overjoyed to return. What I loved most of all was that I was not afraid. There were no poisonous animals or plants on Kauai. The people were beautiful. It was benevolent, and one could live and breathe without fear. Those days are drawing to a close. I write today to ask you, who hold the power to save Kauai, to do the right thing for your island. There are politics at work here, and a lot of it is hard to comprehend. Wouldn't anyone who lived on Kauai want to protect it? Do the multinational chemical companies currently on island really have the right to spray next to schools and hospitals? Is this common sense? Is it neighborly? Is it kind? Should they be allowed to spray all year, 4 times a year, and pay no penalty? The people who pay are the ones who are getting sick, who have nowhere to turn except to you, to this council, for their protection. It is your duty, it is your privilege to do exactly that. Please, please, put consideration of money and politics aside and think of the land itself, which has no voice except for the remembrance which has become part of our DNA and our lives. Uama ka'ea o ka'aina I kapono. The life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness. In the entire world, the state of Hawaii is the only body that has recognized that there is a proper way to behave toward the land, and that is with righteousness. Listen, remember, and act. Thank you, Bette Midler.
Thank you for the testimony.
The next speaker is Nomi Carmona, followed by Colin Dana.
Aloha, Chair and Kauai County Council. Thank you again. My name is Nomi Carmona. I represent statewide Babes Against Biotech. I find it disturbing that the county attorney asked biotech companies to identify their legal problems with the bill and then use those same points to construct his legal opinion, failing to provide both accurate pros and cons, instead opting to provide a one-sided opinion in favor of the biotech industry. The mayor's veto was ignorant and based on an imbalanced, unethical legal opinion, written and guided by the GMO chemical company attorneys and to their benefit. The same mayor who has received $4,000 directly from Syngenta and DuPont and is the second most GMO-funded mayor in the state also used his position of power and attorney-client privilege to release Mauna Kea Trask's flawed legal opinion to the public, essentially revealing the county's defense strategy to the very toxic companies who fully plan to sue the county for the right to spray hazardous pesticides next to schools, homes, hospitals, roadways, and waterways. If anyone was simply concerned about the veto, the mayor's decision to release the county's confidential legal opinion against the will of the council, further affecting our ability to save ourselves from these chemical companies, is abhorrent and indefensible. The council, which accurately reflected the will of the people by voting 6-1, voted to keep that private. To me, in my experience with this industry and the statewide political climate heavily lobbied by professional proponents of toxicity, the mayor's double betrayal of the majority constituents of Kauai, the county and the council, paired with the mayor's push for a 2-month deferral, is a clear indicator of where the mayor's loyalty lies, and it's not with the people or children of Kauai unless he somehow believes that the state government, with hundreds of thousands of dollars of GMO campaign contributions, will protect Kauai years from now, and that allowing the continued poisoning of Kauai residents is acceptable until then. I suggest he has either been wrongly convinced he must do everything in his power to destroy the bill, or he is deeply confused and under poor mentorship. The mayor's communication director, Beth Tokioka, is controlling the content coming out of his office, and with all due respect, she is incidentally the wife of the number 9 of 10 most GMO-funded representatives in the House, James Tokioka, who has received $9,650 from these biotech companies. Your state leadership is not sufficient to protect us as suggested by the mayor's veto, and his support for the governor's implied voluntary regulation is telling. Senator Ron Kochi has taken $6,050, Rep. Kawakami $2,000, D. Morikawa only $700, but the backbone we need to protect ourselves at the state level has yet to step forward. The Kauai legislative delegates have all quit taking GMO money in 2012 because they know it affects their authenticity and impartiality regarding biotech influence in the eyes of their constituent, and the mayor just took $2,000 in May 2013. Hopefully he's gotten the message to stay off the GMO money. I have given him pens and lays to sign the bill. He himself confessed he only recently read the bill and needed 2 more months to study it while we were 5 months into the bill. 2 months would have placed the bill in jeopardy, as the majority GMO-funded state legislators would likely again attempt to usurp home rule at the state level starting January. So he attempted to defer the bill, fouled the county's legal defense, and vetoed the will of the majority. To me, that is not a pattern of competence in government leadership. He has suggested that being born and raised helped defend his veto, which to me makes no sense if he's willing to allow the continued poisoning of the children he helped raise. How is that fair to the people who trusted him and elected him to office? I contest that we're divided. We've never been more united. Why does the Nuremberg Code require...
Your 3 minutes has passed.
Thomas Paine, who wrote Against Corruption for Independence and Common Sense, is my blood uncle. I was adopted by a Kumu, and Hawaii is my ohana more than anywhere else, and I ask that you please protect them. Though I'm not born and raised, I love them with all of my heart, and if the mayor will not defend them, I will do everything I can. Mahalo. Legally. Mahalo.
Thank you. I want to remind everybody the agenda item today is not campaign spending. It's not campaign reporting. The agenda item today is the power or influence this council has to override the veto. So please, I will say it, one more time. We've heard a lot of testimony since July 5th, lots of it. The agenda item is about the veto today. So thank you very much. Next speaker.
Next speaker is Colin Dana.
Excuse me, one more.
I just want to make a clarification that Representative Tokioka is the former husband of Beth. They are not married. I think that's important clarification.
Thank you, Mr. Raposo. Who's our next speaker? I'm sorry.
Colin Dana, followed by Katie Johnson.
Are you Colin?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I would like to address the veto, but before, I would like to thank the body for their work on this bill so far. I started out very disheartened, but I have renewed faith in the leadership shown by this body, and especially you, Mr. Chair. So with that, I'd like to move on to the veto. It's never pretty. Political suicide is never a pretty thing. But to focus on why this veto happened, I mean, the stated reason is flimsy enough that I think we can dismiss it. But I don't want to waste time saying, was he bought, was he misled? I think that is not really our job. I think we need to stay the course, not be distracted by this delay. We need to, as soon as possible, schedule a meeting, override this veto, and get on with what we've spent months and months and months working towards. Thank you. Aloha.
Thank you for your testimony. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Katie Johnson, followed by Felicia Cowden.
Good morning, Katie.
Aloha, I'm Katie Johnson. First of all, I want to thank you all for passing the bill. You did it. We are so grateful. You showed amazing leadership, leadership of the people and stewards of this land that we all love. You must override the veto. I know that you know it. We all know it. The veto is wrong. You looked at the bill. You decided that it could hold up in court. You chose to pass it. Please do. I don't know that there's more that I can tell you that other people haven't said that you don't already know. You know, I think for me it's about the children. I'm going to tell you a little story. I was driving past the field in between the airport and the hospital, and I had small children in my back seat, and I wanted them to roll the windows because I didn't want them to breathe in whatever might have been sprayed, but I also didn't want to scare them. So I asked them nicely to roll the windows. But Auntie, why? And I said, well, they might be putting something on the fields that could not be good for us. I don't know, but I would like for us to roll the windows just in case. One little voice in the back seat said, I know, my mama told me about that. They're spraying poison. Another one said, well, if they're spraying poison, call the police. And I said, well, we don't know. We'll call the police anyhow. We can't call the police. There is no law. Silence in my back seat. And I don't know how you explain that to children, because some people do explain this to children. I tend not to, because I'm afraid that they will be afraid. Because honestly, I'm afraid. And so I beg you, when you break it down to the kids, it becomes so obvious. All we're asking, 500 feet from our schools, from our hospitals, from our residences, that's all we're asking. And yet they're fighting and fighting and fighting. And I really think we need to take a minute and pause and wonder why. Because I don't know how I would ever explain that to a child. Why they're fighting to spray. And they don't want to tell us what they're spraying. But why? It makes no sense. And I watched that same documentary that Erica did, and actually I will send it to all of you. I figured maybe somebody already did, but I will do it. Oh, I have 30 seconds. Let's learn from other places. Let's err on the side of caution. The one thing I want to say is the most basic tenet of being human is that we protect our young. It's not even just being human, it's across the species. A black bear will not attack unless you pass her with her cubs. Then you beware. Because a mama bear will attack when her cubs are threatened. Let's protect our children. You already have. You've protected them once. Stand up to the mayor. The veto was wrong. Do the right thing. Please.
Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Felicia Cowden, followed by Angela Hughes.
Thank you. I'm Felicia Cowden. I will keep mine simple. So many strong words and quality words have been said. I also thank you, all of you, for what you have done so far, all the time that you've put into this. And I ask that you override the veto. And I think it's important, even more than just for Bill 2491. When I look at the amount of effort, certainly more than I've ever seen in my close to 30 years on this island, how many people have come forward on both sides of the issue. This is a powerful issue. I know it hasn't been easy for you all, and to get that 6-1 approval of the bill, just to have it vetoed, it almost invalidates the role of the county council. I feel like it's disrespecting a whole lot of elements here, and I like the mayor. I feel like he's my friend. His team is our friends of mine. But at some point we have to rise above that, and we just have to stand on the process, the people, everything that's been said. And I see no good reason for him to be vetoing it, especially when there is teams of people from around the country and larger who are willing to come in and help, because it does set a precedent. And we need to set that precedent. So thank you. Please override the veto.
Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Angela Hughes, followed by Ned Whitlock.
Aloha, my name is Angela Hughes for the record. Good morning, Council. I'll make it really brief because you've sat through so much already. I think you know many things that I could possibly say again. So I just want to give my deepest appreciation for the vote that happened and all of your support for the bill up to this point. And I know it hasn't been easy, and it continues to be a challenge, but our community is really strong and we really are behind you every step of the way. And to me, the override is a no-brainer, and I'm having faith that it's happening. So thank you so much for your time. Okay, aloha.
Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Ned Whitlock, followed by Deborah Erickson.
Aloha, Council. I'm Ned Whitlock, farmer in Namaloa'a. The precedent you can set by overriding this veto has ramifications that ripple out across the Pacific. So, of course, there's a lot of pressure to bear for not setting that precedent. But for the future of our island, and especially the kids, you're at a juncture point that takes some thought, but courage to go ahead and do the right thing and override the veto. Because who you're dealing with, these aren't just seed companies. You know, I get my vegetable grower magazine, and you know, there's ads for Syngenta seeds, 2 of them in this one. But it's not just an ad for seeds. In the same ad, it's for seed treatment, so the seeds are already treated, poisoned to begin with. And then they're saying, well, you can protect it with a fungicide and their insecticide, probably a synthetic pyrethroid, because there's like a bee warning on the bottom of the ad here. So, you know, it's their business model to sell more. And they just happen to be in the agrochemical business. So please override the mayor's veto. Let's get on with it. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Next speaker is Deborah Erickson, followed by Dwayne Sink.
Hi, my name is Deborah Erickson. I just want to say override the veto. I can't even talk about this stuff anymore. It just makes me cry. You know, you've looked at stuff, look at what's happening in other countries. There's definitely, I know the governor is telling them, and the mayor, do not sign off that bill. But do what's in your heart, please.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Dwayne Senk, followed by Billy Kaneolani.
Dwayne, are you present? Was Dwayne, is that what you said?
Dwayne,
Madam Clerk?
D-E-W-A-I-N-S-E-N-K.
Okay, let's. Next.
The next speaker is Billy Kaneolani.
Council, my agenda is not about...
Billy, you got to sit down in front of the mic.
Oh, okay. First time I ever do this, so excuse. My name is Billy Kaneolani, and I work for the State Department of Highways. And our concern, since I've been elected delegate for United Public Workers, or for the county and Kauai, the state, this is mean because what we're doing now is we're working. And I like know if we get the rights to do that, to do the herbicide on guardrails only.
Billy, I'll tell you, this bill deals
I know.
specifically
Tell me about
with
it.
agricultural pieces.
Well, I guess herbicide is part of agriculture, right?
Well,
And-
the chemical is, but the policy is its treatment in agricultural industry. So the question you posing really is one for your highway department.
Okay then.
Hello.
The next speaker is Mahana Lauren Dunn, followed by Bob Riha.
Aloha, council members. My name is Mahana Dunn, and I first moved to the North Shore of Kauai 18 years ago. It's nice to see you all again, and I want to begin with thanking you all for your dedication, your determination, and for already passing this bill. You all are making the right decision concerning the health and future of Kauai, and I'm here today to please ask you, please override the veto of the mayor, that what is going on here is just very clear and obvious to almost everyone here. We are all one ohana here on Kauai, and I want that all to be known to everyone. Doesn't matter what side you live on, what background you have, we are all one people. I would like to begin again by reminding everyone that the earth does not belong to us. We belong to the earth. Every choice we make affects the generations, way beyond the 7th generation. Our ancestors knew this, we know this, this is the truth. Restricted use pesticide disclosure, buffer zones, the environmental impact statement, all of this that this bill has brought to light, I would like to make one thing very clear. The reason these chemical companies will not disclose what they are doing to our fragile ecosystem, the children, and all these people are sick, are 3 words: class action lawsuit. When it is made public what horrible, deadly pesticides and toxic experiments they have been conducting, that they have been aware for decades that these things directly cause cancer, destroy the environment, alter our DNA, they will be out of business.
Laura, I'm going to remind you, and this is the 3rd reminder.
Okay.
The agenda item
Okay.
is overriding the veto.
Got you.
Please be focused on that item.
Yes, sir, thank you. We the people are here today to protect Kauai. We love this island with all our hearts. This sacred island is truly paradise, and we know what's going on here. I don't need to remind you. But I do ask, how much is your health for sale? How much is your children's health for sale? My health is not for sale, ever. It is not right nor fair that anybody has the right to poison any of us. And that is not living aloha. That is not Hawaii. That is not what this great nation stands for. If we all truly believe in the Constitution, that we understand that we are protected from evildoers who harm we the people. Thank you all for overriding the mayor's veto. God bless you all. Mahalo keakua. God bless Kauai.
Thank you.
The
Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Bob Riha, followed by Veronica Bashwa.
Aloha, council members. Thank you for
Can
all
you
your
speak
hard
up a little bit, Bob?
Hello, you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, council members. Thank you all for all your hard work and all your time that you've spent dealing with this issue here. I am an organic farmer, a concerned organic farmer here in Kauai. I've been here for about 10 years, and it's very important for us to come together and with our hearts, knowing that we are all in it together, and pesticides are bad. They kill weeds, they damage the earth. We are on the earth. Potentially we are taking that in as well. So I'm very upset with the mayor's decision, and I am in full support of all of us coming together and overriding this veto and making Kauai a very green, healthy place. Thank you.
Thank
Aloha.
you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Veronica Bashwa, followed by Lisa Kerman.
Aloha. My name is Veronica Bajwa. I thank you all for passing the bill, and I hope and pray you continue to pass the bill. We're one of the few states left that has the county power that is not preempted. These companies have been working hard to change legislation in various states across the country. Hawaii is one that they haven't gotten to yet. So we still have the authority to do this, and I hope you stay strong and stand up to these guys, because they're trying to take our rights away. We need courageous leaders to protect this precious island. It's one of the most beautiful islands in the world. It's a place people come for the natural beauty and pristine, cleanliness of the air and the water. And if it's getting poisoned and destroyed, we're doing a disservice to the world. Not only to the people that live here. California, two of the main points the mayor vetoed the bill for is implementation. He didn't know how he was going to be able to do that. There have been many people that have testified and volunteered their time to help with implementation that have experience in the field. It's not hard to put together a group of people, an advisory board to help implement the bill. He will also have Nadine working for him, who has been very involved in this, and I'm sure, and I have noticed, is quite brilliant and can help find ways to implement the bill. The other main point he had was the state, the threat of a lawsuit and preemption. So many lawyers have stated that it is not preempted. Lawyers that are experts in this field that have been dealing with this stuff in other states, they know it. They said it's solid. So, go to court, find out what's true, if that's what's needed to protect this island. I don't see the people of Kauai as cowards that will just fall at a threat. This is a land of warriors that fought for truth. And we need you guys to be warriors to protect Kauai. You did your homework. You spent months and hours listening to everything and interviewing people, going and talking to people. The mayor didn't do enough of that. He said he didn't do enough. He doesn't know enough. He confessed to that. So he didn't do his job. Why should we all wait? Because he didn't. He didn't do his homework, and he wants to defer it to the state. The state is overburdened and underfunded. They can't take care of this the way it needs to be done. The county can, and the county has the right to. We need the county and the state to work on this very important, this is big stuff. This is cancer, birth defects. It's the poisoning, the dying of the coral reefs.
3 minutes.
It's very obvious to anyone. I work in the tourist industry, and every tourist I talk to can see right through what's going on here. And they and I and the people of Kauai that have spoken want you to override this veto and pass the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Lisa Kerman, followed by Ellie Williams.
That's true.
Yes.
If we could just remind people to speak.
Speak into the mic and
Yeah.
speak up, please.
Okay, good morning, council members. Can you hear me now? Okay, good morning. I just want to thank you very, very much for all the diligent, hard work that you have taken on these last several months. And I won't bore you to death with another testimony. I've written several already. I just want to support you in supporting this bill, which you've already supported and you voted on. And so I want to beg you to override the mayor's decision to veto the bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Ellie Williams, followed by Taryn Dizon.
Ellie Williams? Oh, there she is.
Aloha kakahiaka. My name is Ellie Williams. Good morning.
Good morning.
I would just like to put my voice out there for all of my constituents. And I am a resident of Waimea Valley, as everybody should know by now, and I also work for DuPont Pioneer. I would like to thank the council for all of your long months of hard work. But I must say that after the mayor vetoed the bill, a lot of points came to light that I think are important to consider, and I trust the county attorney's opinion. I trust the mayor's decision, and I support the mayor on this one, that the veto should stand. We should veto this bill and work together. I am a proponent of working together. There's no resolution when we introduce bills, legislation, and any type of combative behavior. We need to sit at the table, work together, all the stakeholders, and figure out, okay, what is best? What can we do together? Because the war, the words, the angriness, it's not Kauai. I went to Waimea High School. We were not taught how to deal with activism. So we were taught how to work together, that this is all of our kuleana. And like I've said before, I went to school to get a degree so I can work in this industry and contribute. Let's all work together. We don't need the negativity on this island. And that's my testimony for my fellow workers and myself.
Ellie, thank you very much for your comments, and I think we would all like to bring the island together. Thank you for pointing that out.
The next speaker is Taryn Dizon, followed by Maria Maitino.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Council Chair Farfaro and council members. Excuse my voice. My name is Taryn Dizon, as you guys all probably are well familiar. Mahalo for the agenda item to lay the veto on the table. I support the mayor's veto because it's quite simple. He is following his oath of office to faithfully support the Constitution of the U.S., the Constitution of the State of Hawaii, and the Kauai County Charter. At the same time, he supports the process of working together and finding real solutions to heal our community. He acknowledges that the community has concerns and he wants to address them. He's not slacking in his duties. He wants to follow the law and for everyone to ho'oponopono and to work together. Why are the people so against working together? Look at what's happening. Someone earlier today talked about fear. Today's security and metal detection is because of all the real threats that have been made. Look what happened to me. I have a police report with 5 Kauai residents accused of terroristic threats against me for testifying after June 26. The seed industry has never committed the types of threats that made you require metal detections downstairs. Ask yourself if everything that happened that has led to this metal detections on the small island of Kauai has been pono. If you want to properly carry out your duty and kuleana for all of Kauai, it makes sense to follow your own county's attorney opinion that Bill 2491 is legally flawed. How can you, in all good consciences of public servants and elected officials, still support an illegal piece of legislation? I have 2 healthy boys in Kekaha, born and raised. One of them, who's named Mauka, can probably cumulatively outwalk all of you in those mountains because he lives his name. He is proud of where his mother works and would love to be in that industry. So mahalo for laying the veto on the table today so you can start the proper discussion next week and sustain the veto. Please support the process that brings our island back together, not ones that tears us further apart. It is really dirty out there, and we need to heal it and work together. Thank you for this time. Mahalo.
Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Maria Maitino, followed by Craig Molina.
Aloha, council members. Thank you. My name is Maria Maitino. I want to thank you so much for all the hours and hours of work you've done to this point. It's been amazing, all the research, all the hours. And I'm here to thank you for passing Bill 2491. You've heard hundreds of hours of compelling testimony by the medical community, by parents, by attorneys, by environmental activists. This decision of the mayor, based on the county attorney's recommendations, is based on fear of lawsuits. We have had numerous attorneys who have said they will work pro bono to back us, to back this bill, this county. We cannot base the decision on this bill on fear of lawsuits. There's too much at stake. Your decision to override the veto should be based not on fear of lawsuits, but rather on the voice of the people of Kauai, the health and well-being of the land, and those of us lucky enough to live here and visit this island. We cannot count on voluntary cooperation by the chemical companies, or we cannot look to the state to help us. We are counting on you, our elected officials, to override this veto and support Kauai and its people. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your testimony. Next speaker.
Next speaker is Craig Molina, followed by Saul Khan.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
It feels like the air conditioner is on.
Yeah, I'm going to check on that at the next break.
Oh, you going to wait for the break?
Yeah.
Okay.
Aloha. My name is Craig Molina, and I am one of the new people to Kauai, but it's been a real honor over the last few months to really bear witness to what's happened here and what I've seen. I've worked with a lot of causes, documentary films, and a lot of media for social change over the years, and I've really been, just honored to be here and see the people come together for this cause, the council to really step forward and really do the hard work that's required to really bring about, change that matters. But it's not just me anymore. The world is now watching. And I'm saying that because they're not watching to see another chapter play out in the story of corporate influence and political influence run unchecked. They're really watching to draw inspiration from what the people here are doing and from what you guys are doing. There are many, many communities all over the world that are facing similar challenges that you guys are facing here, and they need to see people step up and succeed and to take small steps towards a brighter future. But make no mistake that what you guys do here is so meaningful for all of the people that are here, but it's meaningful to communities all over the world. And what you do here will be viewed and seen and shared and will really make a big difference. So I really believe that now is the time to share aloha and share the dogged, persistent effort that it takes to do the people's work and share that with the rest of the world. Mahalo.
I got a few housekeeping announcements. I got confirmation that the AC is back on, so I want to get the building secured for the windows. Is anyone able to just reach up from where you're at and close the windows around you? It would be a big help. Thank you, everyone. The second housekeeping announcement is we will be taking a break at 11 o'clock for our 10-minute required by law break for our captioner. I will be giving the break an extra 5 minutes because I want to remind you folks that you will have to be screened again coming back in. And that is nobody's kuleana but mine. I am responsible for the well-being of 23 employees in this building, and that is the process we were going through. So time yourself when we take a break, because we need to go through that screening again. And to me, that is pono. I have a responsibility to my staff. Now, on that note, thank you for the housekeeping interrupt. You have the floor.
Aloha, my name is Saul Khan. Thank you, all council members, every single one of you. I appreciate all the hard work you've done, and I really mean that. You know, I've agreed with some of you, and I've disagreed with some of you on a lot of things in all of this. It's been a very, very difficult issue. It's divided, it's unified, it's done all that. So we can't say it hasn't done this, it hasn't done that. It's basically done the full circle. It's done everything. I start off by saying that, you know, I never played football, but I did play soccer. I played baseball since I was 4 years old. You know, I did play all those sports, and I would never give my playbook our plays to the other team. Why would you do that? Why would I go into a game and say, hey, we're going to do this move, this move? I play basketball. Why would we give our plays to the other team? It just doesn't make sense. So that's a little disappointing to me, to say the least. Also, you guys did your job. You've done your research. There's still a lot more research to do, probably years worth, to say the least. And I take it personally. You know, the mayor, I gave him one of the very first flyers that I made with a lot of information on it. He got the very first flyer. I said, if you have any questions, call me. And this was months before the votes and for the bill. So I do take that personally. He didn't do his research. You guys have done your research. Mr. Opozo, you know, you and I have disagreed and agreed on a few things, and even though you gave a no vote, you've done your research, and I do respect that. And whatever your opinion is, you've done the hard work. I've seen you do it, and yeah, I have nothing but respect for that. As for the mayor, seems like he's really going over your guys' head on this, and it's I don't agree. You guys are doing your job, and I appreciate the job you guys are doing, all of you. And I think you should stick with what you're doing, stick on the same path. I'm sitting up here representing the kids, you know, the keiki, the island. I'm not here for my generation. So, it's not. It's not my generation that matters. It's the ones after us. Dude's over at the Veto.
Thank you for your testimony, Saul.
The next speaker is Lionel Gamble, followed by Larry Philhart.
My name is Lionel Gamble. I live in Kapa'a. The last time I spoke here, I said you would be criticized for doing the right thing. How soon that was borne out. I've seen an attempt to frame this as environmental protection against jobs. It isn't that. It's representative government, and I see it at its best here. This is truly the County Council of Kauai. It is not the County Council of Syngenta. You deserve the thanks of all of us, not only the people on this beautiful island, but all of the living creatures. The fish in the streams will thank you. The squirrels in the trees will thank you. The chickens will thank you. I thank you. And I urge you to stay the course. You are the heroes in this drama, and I salute you, and I stand with you, and I urge everyone who cares about this island to stand with you. Thank you.
Larry, thank you for your testimony. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Larry Philhart, followed by Isabel Storch.
My name's Larry Philhart, and I wasn't really planning on coming down here, but I just drove by. And the bill isn't what bothers me, and I'm preaching to the choir because you all followed the law and passed it. What bothers me the most is there was no complete environmental impact done on this. Nobody knows what the GMOs are going to do and the pesticides are going to do. And so it's simple law. We don't know what it's going to do. I was out of the generation when they had the thalidomide things. Nobody knew what they was going to do, and all of a sudden something happened, you know, and it was something tragic. And Monsanto isn't growing seeds and food for us. They're growing seeds. They're going to go throughout the world, and if they're wrong, and it hurts, it'll hurt the entire world. It won't hurt just Kauai. This is a worldwide problem. So I just totally disagree. I think it's illegal that he passed he vetoed this bill, and I think it's a world thing more than just Kauai. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Isabel Storch, followed by Lyle Robinson.
Aloha, Mr. Chairman and members of council. Thank you for letting me speak to you today on this matter. My name is Isabel Storch, and I operate a small family farm on Kauai. In my previous life for over 3 decades, I was a municipal lawyer for the city of Pittsburgh and other municipalities in western Pennsylvania. I wish to address the mayor's rationale for vetoing the bill. He based his decision on the so-called legal issues raised by the county's attorneys. When you read the last paragraph of their opinion, the attorneys give 3 concerns: preemption, the right to farm or nuisance issues, and the transfer of regulation to the Office of Economic Development. The preemption issue has been addressed by highly competent lawyers who have litigated it successfully in state and federal courts. So it is legally defensible and an issue worth fighting. Isn't it interesting that the only other legal concerns raised by your lawyers were in relation to amendments made by council's committee and not to issues in the original bill? I understand that the lawyers were present in those committee meetings, so one has to ask whether they advised the committee of their legal concerns at that time. If they didn't, they should be dealt with accordingly. If they did the committee share that information with the rest of council before you voted on it? Isn't it also interesting that the amendments were proposed by the now deputy mayor, or whatever the new title is? Could one surmise that there was a conspiracy in place to purposefully make the bill more legally problematic so as to give the mayor a reason to veto it? I suggest that council ask those questions and demand answers before you vote to override or not. I believe that this legal opinion itself is terribly flawed and obviously written with an intent to support a veto rather than a fair assessment of the law. The mayor's action in reliance on that opinion should therefore be overridden. And lastly, I am shocked and appalled that the legal opinion was released to the public. Never in my 33 years as a practicing lawyer have I had or seen a legal opinion released publicly. It just is not done. Furthermore, the lawyers have an ethical duty to their clients to advise of the repercussions in doing so. Did your lawyers do this? Council should demand an answer. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
The next speaker is Lyle Robinson, followed by Fern Rosensteel.
Aloha, good morning. I'm Lyle Robinson. Thank you all for being here again and listening to us again. And I know this is not the same as the previous hearings when we were discussing the bill itself. This is the override of the veto possibility. And I believe that as representatives of the people who elected you 3 weeks ago, you voted as a majority to pass Bill 2491. And I believe that each of you voted as you did because you felt that you were accurately representing your constituents. It's clear that while there are some that are opposed on this island to the passage of Bill 2491, the majority of the citizens of Kauai want Bill 2491 passed, and the County Council vote reflected that. The mayor clearly voted with his veto against the will of the majority of the citizens of Kauai. And I don't know why he did that, and I do trust that you will all again vote honorably according to the duties of your office to reflect the desire and the will of your constituents, and in order to override the veto, the mayor's veto. And I just want to share one story about children because in so many people's view, this is about the future of Kauai and the children of Kauai. And my children have seen me interested in this and participate, and they've come to rallies and they've shown up and they've made shirts and they've made signs and they've had their pictures taken with the mayor, with their t-shirts and all their pride. And last week I thought I was going down to the mayor's office to really support him in signing the bill, and I was excited, and my 5-year-old son was with me, and we were really having a good morning. And we got there, and there was nobody there yet, and people slowly started gathering, and I went off because I had a few errands to do. I said, let's go do those and come back. And when we came back, it was Halloween day, and somebody said to me, the mayor's about to veto the bill. And I said, you're tricking me, right? There's a Halloween trick. He said, no. And I actually was really shocked. And my son started asking me what was going on, and I talked to him about it, and we found out, indeed, the mayor was vetoing the bill. We listened to his 30 minutes of explanation, and afterwards, I stood there and talked with the mayor for a few minutes because I had some more questions and concerns regarding his decision. And my son walked up, and the mayor put up his hand to high-five my son. And my son, 5-year-old boy, picked up his hand and went down. And I was taken aback. I was completely shocked, and the mayor was pretty surprised. And I leaned down and said to my son, Finn, why did you just do that? And he said, I'm not going to high-five anybody who's for GMO and vetoes the bill.
3 minutes.
He's 5 years old, and he said this, and I'm shocked that children understand the gravity of this situation. Please, please vote with your hearts the way you have and for your constituents and override the veto. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Fern Rosensteel, followed by Andrew Kabibi.
Thank you, County Council. For the record, Fern Anuinui Rosensteel. I do also want to thank you one more time, all of you, every one of you, for the efforts that you've put in. I would like to strongly encourage you to override the veto that was made. Many of you may have seen my personal letter to the mayor and my comments and my personal feelings related to it.
However, I would like to emphasize the reasons why I think you have the right to override this veto and why you will be supported by the law. First of all, the things that were mentioned in our pre-veto meeting, I call it, when I was called in an hour before the announcement was made to the public to be told with a handful of other people that the decision to veto was made. The mayor emphasized that the Right to Farm Act was one of the reasons that they were so concerned about the legalities of this. We dealt with this 9 months ago when we looked into the details of this bill. We dealt with the fact that the Right to Farm Act was there, but the Right to Farm Act actually prevents people from nuisance lawsuits against these corporations. It does not in any way affect you as a body to pass a law to protect us. So I just really wanted to make that clear. You will not be, that will not conflict your ability to pass this law. I wish that I was spoken to at some stage over the last year when I've reached out to the mayor on multiple occasions to discuss this with me. I was never, ever one time met and spoke to them about the issue, not one time. So here I am trying to explain to you guys some of the things I learned in a moment, but I've spent a year working on this bill, and I'll tell you that there's a lot of areas that may be slightly uncharted law. That's what we're doing here. We're setting precedent. That's what happens. That's the judicial branch. It's not your branch. You pass the law. They will determine whether it is constitutionally sound in the courts, and it's not up to the mayor to stop that process. That is the way this government was founded. And I'd like to also, for those of you that keep on encouraging people to just defer back to the state and the federal government, I want to again remind you that it was the federal government that granted experimental pesticide use permits to be given to the county of Kauai. We did not choose to have an experimental test site here. The federal government gave them the permits to experiment here. So I like Malia's explanation of an abused child, and I used it in my letter, and she used it in our discussion with the mayor in our pre-veto meeting. And I really appreciate all of you for standing up and protecting the people of Kauai and our abused community, which is how I feel about it. And I also want to emphasize that, you know, the threats and the things that have gone on over the last couple of weeks are totally unacceptable. But they've happened on both sides. And we have somebody that's afraid to go home because they were told that if they go home, they're dead. We had notes left on our vehicles the last time. There are multiple people that are scared. Some people were told in the line that they were going to be lighted up, which is like a term for shooting unarmed civilians. We've dealt with a lot of this on both sides, and I really encourage everybody to just really stay focused on the issues. Let's not tear apart any person involved or any personality. Let's stay focused on the issues here, and the issue is protecting our community and overriding this veto. So please move forward with that. Aloha.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Andrew Kabibi, followed by Halim Ahmed.
Andrew Kabibi. I really gotta thank you guys, you know. I know what it's like to be under a gun, you know. I've been under it all my life, trying to live with these people that I live with, you know. But my ohana teaches me to love all of you, every one of you, everywhere I go. If I hold any animosity within me, what am I, you know? So that is what I share with everybody I meet. And I know I've met some of you, gave you hugs, shake your hands, you know. And I tell you, I never believed in the system. But you guys, you know, standing up. And I'm still standing up for what is truly mine as a kanaka, you know. Today, I step out of who I am and come here as a human being. Forget about everything that I represent, you know. When I first, how I met these pesticides was, you know, for me I'm back to the beginning again. You know, I worked, when I first came here in '82, I worked on building this golf course, and I seen what the pesticide did to the oceans down below, you know. And today, that ocean is starting to come back. The fish, the turtles, everything is like how it was back then, pristine. You know, you look at our waters today, I'm a waterman, I'm a fisherman, I'm a canoe paddler, I did everything. My life was always in the water. And when I was out of the water, I could go anywhere and pick the fruits. That's me. That was my generation, you know. And the people was giving us the food, you know. from their yards. They put them out on the side of the road, and you just walk by and you pick up what you like, you know. But big business took over, you know. For me, my family sat on the streets. We sold our Lays, we sold our vegetables, you know. And then statehood came. Everything had to go into the stores, you know. We had to get permits, everything, you know. But that's the way it is. That's the way life is. I gotta respect it and I gotta love it, or else what am I, you know? So I like to thank the people. They are truly your constituents, you know. Even if they work for the farms or not, they support you, you know. And I'm here to persuade you that think it shouldn't be. It's real. You know, I'm here to persuade you to make it 100%, not just, you know. And I thank you, and I thank the people for standing up. You know, there are families out there today that lost everything around the world, killed themselves because they failed their families, spent all their money on this GMO and lost it. And I thank you.
Andrew,
Mahalo, my brother.
your time is up, but may I also tell you, you and I grew up together in the territory of Hawaii.
Thank you for bringing that up, my brother. You know, I know you're right. We stood there and you was telling us, all of us, and you are today. And I
really want to say thank you for the comment about not holding animosity. It's the right thing. Let's get through this together. But it's good to see you, Andrew.
All right.
Even though it's been a long time since the territory of Hawaii.
The next speaker is Halim Ahmed.
Thank you, County Council. For the record, Halim Hamid. I have a lot going through my mind. Pardon me if I become scattered in my speaking. First off, I'd just like to say I really do appreciate all the time all of you have taken throughout this whole process. And like someone before me said, it does seem like we've come back full circle. We seem to be talking about the things we started out talking about. Try to get to the point. I am pretty shocked to see how the mayor is going against what we like to call democracy. Growing up in school, we were always taught democracy is a system that the people are the ones that actually are in power, and that's what our government's supposed to be. And to have the majority of the island come out in support of Bill 2491 and have 5 companies come out against it with their employees seems to be an overwhelming support of the people. And to have the mayor go against the democratic process of the people deciding what they want isn't acceptable to me as a taxpayer, as a person, as a human. So I'd really like all of you to look in your hearts and know that you do have the right to override the mayor, whether he thinks he's right or what the circumstances are behind his veto. Basically that's it. I'd like you guys to override the veto. I can't help but noticing that the amount of doublespeak coming from the biotech. Someone earlier said that we just want to work together. Why can't we work together? I think basically that's the reason this bill is here. It's because we've been trying to work together and biotech's refused. I mean, ask Wendell Kabutan, ask Clayton Kubo. They've been trying for over a decade, to work together. So to now and come and hear that from the other side that we want to work together seems a little bit hard to stomach. Also, if we're so proud of the agriculture that we're doing on the biotech side. Driving through the parking lot, I noticed all the trucks took off their Syngenta stickers. So How are we so proud if we can't display what we are? You know, and this is a national thing going on. There's disclosure and labeling and all these things, you know. So how can we be so proud and then hide what we're doing? That's what kind of gets to me. I guess that's my time. Thank you.
Okay.
The next speaker is...
Now, Jane, hold on a second. Do we have more than 4 speakers now?
We have 4 speakers, Chair, remaining.
Just 4 speakers. Okay. I am going to ask us, BC, may we go through the last 4 speakers before we take a recess? Okay. I do want to get to the actual action on the posting today, because at 1:30 I will lose a quorum here. So let's go to those 4 speakers, please.
The next speaker is Hoku Kabibi, followed by Larry Schneider.
Hoku.
Aloha, ova o hoku, mai waini hamaiao. I'm here again because, you know, I've decided to jump in on this cause, and we're another meeting deep, and I'm just learning as I go along. So, and I just wanted to again express on behalf of all the people that I've met throughout this journey as I go house to house and talk to different community members, and I hear that, you know, their stories, and, you know, I bring comfort because that's just the kind of person I am, and I keep hoping that, you know, we'll get to the end of this yes vote and I can go back and give them the great news that we have some protections in place for our community, and then we can go on with the real work of what this bill is, and we can go on with the uniting of the families who need help with the jobs. You know, we're looking at that as a community already. We have things in place where, you know, you can go for help with job placement if that's what you need, although this bill was set up so that no one does lose their job. So that's not going to happen. But if you feel that fear, the community already has things in place. Hawaii Clean Jobs, you can go to that website. And so like I said, please just override the mayor's veto. You guys already heard all the reasons why you need to override it. And I don't even think you need to hear it from us. I know that you good people have it within your na'au to make the right decision for our island and for our keiki most especially, and not just our human keiki, but like someone mentioned earlier, you know, our baby o'opu, our baby kalo, all of them need your protections, and this is what this bill does. So please unanimously support this bill, each and every one of you. And again, the community stands with you. We look forward to November, letting the whole community know that you folks stood up for us and to bring you back into office, because that's the kind of leaders that we need. So thank you again so much for hearing me out, and I look forward to going through the rest of the process with you folks, and I think the entire community does. Mahalo.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Next speaker is Larry Schneider, followed by Christy Owen.
My name's Larry Schneider. I wasn't going to testify. I just walked back from the mayor's office, and I guess I'm not going to say anything to betray the confidentiality of what we spoke about. But the mayor, I don't believe, and I told him to his face, I thought he made a terrible decision. But the mayor didn't make this decision in an isolated bubble. He did it with through a team, through advice that he got through a team. While I was in a 20-minute conference, we got interrupted 6 times by other people on the island who have issues. And part of the conversation was we wouldn't have enough time to discuss this. And the reality is, I don't think the mayor had enough time to research it. I don't think a veto with a deferral is going to give him enough time. I think the mayor got duped, and I think he got duped by a lot of the talk and fear injected via the chemical companies by confusing science with truth. There's a difference between truth and the use of the term science. There's also a difference between one isolated factor that they test and it has been given approval for legality versus the combinations. And there's also the issue of understanding what the genetic modifications are. And that's serious in itself, let alone the pesticide issues. But if I were reading the county attorney's opinion, which I did, let me word it differently. If I was the professor setting up a debate and I gave the assignment to a few of my students to propose one side in support of the bill, defending the bill, and one side to defeat the bill. When I read that opinion, I thought that was an opinion given all the reasons where there were potential holes that could be punched. But when I did my additional reading in terms of what was referenced, significant portions were left out that would have defended the county attorney's opinion. I think it was a very biased, uneven opinion that gave the county and the mayor the opportunity to say there are issues in here that we face risk at, but there was nothing in there to support it, and I think that was wrong. I think the mayor made the decision not because he believes it's the right decision, but I don't think he knew the right decision. I think the council here spent an enormous amount of time educating themselves. I think you need to reinstitute, override the veto, and you need to clean up some of the stuff that was left out that would allow the companies to operate without oversight, and you can do that in the 9 months.
Thank you.
Christy Owen, followed by Clayton Kubo.
Mr. Kubo will be our last speaker.
Yes, Chair.
Okay.
Aloha, my name is Christy Owen. I live in Waimea Valley. I have 3 children that go to these schools out there. I have 2 at Waimea Canyon and 1 at Keikaha School. Both of these schools have been evacuated in the past. People have gotten sick there. The mayor vetoing this bill is like a slap in the face to many of us on the west side, especially the parents. What's being asked for is so minimal. If you think the state's going to come in, I think, and help us, I mean, ask some of the teachers at Waimea Canyon School when they tried to pass something similar years ago when the kids were sick. That's why we're here today, is because of that. I just want to urge you to please override the mayor's veto and vote, keep your yes vote, and to help us get the information that we need and that we deserve. My middle son gets nosebleeds, my youngest has asthma, my kids constantly come home from Waimea Canyon School complaining that they had a headache or a stomach ache all day. I asked them if they ate their lunch, if they drank their water. Yes, Mom, I did. I think the difference in parents who don't live around these fields and whose kids don't go to these schools is that we, on the west side, especially in Waimea, we can't rule out the possibility that what's happening to our children, to our community, couldn't possibly be from the spraying of these fields. I think as parents, we try to do our very best to do what's healthy for our children, whether it be feeding them healthy, helping them with their homework, putting them into sports. But what if there's something that's beyond our control that's harming our children? And what if the disclosures that could be made with this bill could either put our mind at ease or possibly prove that we are indeed being harmed by this? Our community deserves this. Our island deserves this. Please don't let the legal threat from these companies sway you from doing what is right. Mahalo for all of your past yes votes. Please stay strong. It's the message I sent to you guys this week. Stay strong. Don't let the mayor veto this. We can do this. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a correction. I guess there is one more speaker after Clayton. Okay, but I do want to make note, we have had 3 hours for people to attempt to sign up. The speaker list is closed. We need to go on with our business. Clayton, you have the floor.
Well, I guess, Clayton Kubo, Waimea Kauai. So I guess we're back over here again, yeah? And as for the mayor's veto, that was pretty deep for me. That was pretty deep, pretty personal, to the max. Okay, I don't know how more personal can get. But I still, on due respect, I respect him. You know, he made his choice. I guess he went look at him was only his choice, not we, the people's choice. So every time I think about this veto thing that comes into my mind, yeah, it seems like, when is we the people going to be the voice? Yeah. When is we the people going to be the voice? And I assume if people try to put health below of money, wow, that's something wrong over there too. Majorly wrong. Majorly wrong. Yeah? So, on due respect, please, you guys got to override this veto. We need help. This is not just an I thing. This is a we thing. Okay? We need help. State not doing them. I got another call saying the same thing. Just like before. The state not going to do their job. We need help. Because how would this look if we the people end up suing? Well, that's what I say. We need help to the max. The veto, nah. I know you guys can. Because you guys had to hear from so much people probably already. And I know you guys can override them. Look deep down into you guys' hearts and say, yeah, we can. Not I can, is we can. For help the island. Thank you very much for you guys' time. We can. And we here again.
The next speaker is Mariko Lum.
Mariko is our last speaker.
Hi, my name is Mariko Strickland Lum, formerly Strickland, now Lum. Thank you, council members, for allowing us to come and speak. I'm sure you're quite exhausted with all the testimonies, I can imagine. But I came here today and I actually was just speaking to a friend who is a seed company worker for the past 2 hours while we're listening to testimonies at the same time. So, and I kind of, changed my approach a bit after our discussion. And anyway, I just want to be very kind of, matter of fact with the whole issue and not get too emotionally involved. But anyway, my biggest thing is, I grew up calling our mayor Bernard, Uncle Bernard, like a lot of my generation. And sorry, I'm a little nervous. But it was quite shocking, after you folks had lots of discussion, a 6-1 vote, and I know a lot of us who have supported him and voted for him, it was a bit of a shock. And a lot of our generation, feels, oh, it's Uncle Bernard, he put food on the table for us. He was my soccer coach, my football coach. Oh, guarantee he's, working for something. Maybe he's working on a better bill, or maybe we can work together because that's what I know he's all about. So, but anyway, and then talking to a friend who's a seed company worker and hearing their perspective and just trying to grasp both sides, and they're genuinely afraid that they're going to lose their job. And my understanding of this bill is that they wouldn't lose their job, that it's asking, the biggest thing is disclosure. So I think there's a lot of, misunderstanding there. And for me personally, hey, the buffer zones, the disclosure, the, everything else, my biggest thing is why not we just disclose? Because from there, if we find out what is actually being used, then we can actually do a study and find out if buffer zones are even necessary. And right now we can hypothesize and say it needs to be 100, 500 feet away, but without actually finding out what is being used and doing a study, I think then we can really figure it out. And I have the analogy to it. It's like, for instance, a convicted felony, right? So if you're going to go, thank you. So if you're convicted for a crime, right, and there's some sort of, on both sides, hey, he could be guilty, he could not be guilty. Wouldn't we do an investigation, correct? And so for this whole issue of pesticides, I don't want to say GMO, because GMO is a whole other thing. This issue of pesticides on Kauai, and more than 50 doctors on Kauai are writing in who's, are relying on, their pay relies on sick people. And they're writing and saying, hey, something's going on here. We got to try to figure out something. For me, I say, why not do a study and figure out, what really is going on? So then we can make conjectures from there. But anyway,
that was your 3 minutes.
Okay.
So you can summarize.
On a positive note, I just want to say this whole issue that's come about, and there's a ton of things going on in my head. With all of this coming about, I feel like I was born and raised here on Kauai, went away for college, never paid attention who was in our council, to be honest, and now I actually am. And the positive thing is this is creating lots of conversations within our generation and getting us involved, getting us to know who's in our council representing us, and getting involved in the issues that affect us. So, and I hope and trust that you folks make the best decision for all of Kauai. And and on a side note, those workers out there, I know a lot of us thought they're getting paid to be here at the seed company, but they're taking vacation time too. So, anyway, yes.
Your time is
Thank
up.
you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Now to the audience, I want you to know this will be a 15-minute caption break. When we come back, we'll be dealing with the actual communication and the receipt of this communication to lay the bill on the table and the decision about when it will come back on schedule. So we are in a 15. Oh, I did, but I will remind you again. A reminder, I'm giving you 15 minutes because, as I said, you need to go through the entrance process again and through the checkpoints that we have earlier. So we're having a 15-minute break. You might want to start moving back after 10 minutes. We're in recess.